As the Nigerian Diaspora Commission gears up for the 8th Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit with the theme Fast-Tracking Regional and National Development by Mobilizing Diaspora Investment. Hello dear, you're watching Inside the Real Estate on Housing TV Africa. My name is Chris Jacobs. We'll take a break. When we return, you'll get to meet my guest. Join us again.
When the city is getting too loud, you need a home. Home is love, peace, and tranquility. Home is Housing TV Africa. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
You're welcome back, and you're watching Inside the Real Estate on Housing TV Africa. My guests today are Mr. Bolaji Louis. He's the team lead, Security and Logistics, Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit Planning Committee, and Mr. Kachi Okeze, who is also a member of the committee. As the Nigerian Diaspora Commission gets set to organize the 8th Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit, which will be holding on November 11th through 13th, 2025. The theme, Fast-Tracking Regional and National Development by Mobilizing Diaspora Investment. I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. Indeed. Now, I'd like to start so that we set the premise for this conversation now. How critical and significant it is, for this summit?
This is the eighth iteration of this summit, the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit. It was inaugurated in 2018, and it's all about bringing together local businesses in Nigeria that have opportunities, that are seeking foreign investors, mostly small, medium enterprises, micro, small, and medium enterprises. And with diaspora investors, Nigerian diaspora investors, people from the diaspora who really want to invest in Nigeria to put something back because they believe in their country of origin, in their home country, and because they have disposable income to invest. And such investors, by profile, are not necessarily attracted by economic numbers or promises of huge returns, because they could take their money elsewhere where it's easier and safer for them to earn returns without. But what is it that makes that average Nigerian, particularly the first and second generation, want to invest in the country? It's because of the filial and sentimental and emotional connections that they have with Nigeria. And that's what is attracting them. So it's the Nigerian spirit at work and in practice.
Interesting. And how would you describe the value Nigerians in diaspora has added over time in terms of investment in Nigeria?
Well, incidentally, over the years, we've always thought, erroneously in my view, and it's been proven by fact, that foreign aid was the sort of the big thing about foreign direct investment inflows into the country, until a few years ago, beginning from about 2010, when the World Bank allowed some of its data to seep out, which showed that a country like Nigeria, for example, was actually doing far better in attracting remittances from their people abroad, diasporans, than foreign aid. And I think that time foreign aid was just about 10% remittance inflows into Nigeria. Remittances were really the thing that were making an impact. But what this has done now is the sort of strategic move from remittances to investing in the real economy. Okay, so because remittances tended to address personal, family, social kind of welfare issues, which is also important because it's impact investing, plugging a gap, meeting the need, and helping to reach the parts of the population that were missing out on government provision. So it helped to bridge that gap. But what's happening now is to actually migrate from just remittances to rational strategic investment into the real sector and creating jobs and helping to grow the economy that way. That is where the Diaspora Investment Summit is playing a key role.
Indeed. All right, talk to me about the theme for this year's summit. It says fast-tracking regional and national development by mobilizing diaspora investment. And is it just limited to Nigerians in diaspora? It is also open to other citizens, that will want to come over to invest in Nigeria.
Oh, without a doubt. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yes, it's in no way limiting. It doesn't preclude anybody else investing. This is about foreign direct investment into the economy. But what we're saying is that this is a specific message to our brothers and sisters and people like us in the diaspora to say, hey, look, your country needs you. And, there's so much that you can do to contribute. And funny enough, what you find is that a lot of these people in diaspora don't need any preaching to. They need the country. They recognize where they come from. They want to do things, not because anybody's asking them to. It's natural. Look at the profile, typical profile of these investors we're talking about. They have paid off children's school fees, so that liability is gone. Most of them have paid off their mortgages, so that is also gone. And what do you have now? A lot of them are around the age of retirement. And so it leaves them with pots of disposable income. Okay, so they have enhanced disposable income. They could invest anywhere, in any society, in any country, in any economy, but they choose Nigeria. And there's a reason for that, because of the sentimental, historic, familial connections with the country.
All right, what are those areas that you may want to amplify, for the investment, particularly and exclusively those areas you may want to amplify for investors?
Every year, this is the 8th edition of the summit, and it's been supported by the government. The Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit is a partnership between the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission and the Nigerian Diaspora Summit Initiative, which is the nonprofit. And what they've done is to design a summit that's an annual event and that mirrors government strategy. So what we do is every year we look at where government is pointing to in terms of target sectors. These are our strategic priorities for this period. And so we design our programs to follow that. Okay, like this year, for example, we have emphasis on infrastructure, on the creative economy. The creative economy is the new oil and gas now, as you can see. It really is the new oil and gas, so to speak. So we've got renewables, tourism and hospitality all under there. And we've got the health, education, and infrastructure development and real estate is another one that's on fire. So, our choice of target sectors reflect government's established priorities for the year. But going back to what you mentioned about the theme itself, if you look at it, the theme recognizes the shift of emphasis, not just in Nigeria, but across the entire global development agenda within the development partners and everybody, to go subnational. For the past 4 years, the emphasis has been to grow the economy by going subnational. And if you look at what the government has done under President Bola Tinubu this year, is to shift that debate from just theory and mere rhetoric to real action in what he has done to sort of empower the second and third tiers of government, the state level and the local government level. I mean, real empowerment. There is no excuse anymore. You've got your budgets, you've got your financing, you've got your independence, your autonomy. So this is the emphasis. That's what this is saying now. So the diaspora who want to invest in Nigeria to support the Nigerian growth project can now engage at the local level.
Yes, at the local levels. Not yes. All right.
You drive impact and you help to create those rural jobs, engage people in the economy, opening up, widening access to provision, both healthcare, education, and opportunities for employment for the local people.
Interesting. Now, Mr. Okeze, talk to me. Yes, if Nigeria thrives, no doubt Africa will thrive. Now, how will this summit indeed add to the economic value of the continent of Africa?
The move over the past 10 years or so has been to really engage the entire African diaspora. If you look at going back to the creation of the sixth region of the African Union, which is the diaspora. And if you look at what some of the key economic development partners on the continent, development finance like Afrexim Bank and
African Development Bank,
have been critical in getting this move away from the sort of north-south relationship and to focus more on south-south collaboration. If you look at what has happened, I think with the president's recent visit to the Caribbean, that unlocked quite a lot of opportunities that are significant to this movement. So in terms of, it's not just Nigeria, in terms of promoting trade, promoting business relations, cultural relations, tourism, I believe part of the moves to Brazil and to the Caribbean is the reopening of air links between Nigeria and Brazil. I remember when I was a young man growing up after university in those days in Lagos, there used to be the Varick airline, if you remember. Varick Airlines used to fly from Lagos to Rio every week. Things like that sort of vanished over time. So this is a kind of, if you like, a renaissance period to bring those things back, to promote cultural relations. We are making an active effort to bring in some of the embassies, the CARICOM embassies in Nigeria, to make sure that they feature prominently at this kind of summit, at this NDIS, and to stake a claim for that relationship. We have to connect with one another. Brothers, Africans, cousins, we all share so many links together. And it's time that the sort of South-South collaboration really took a new turn. And that's part of what we're hoping that NDIS will help to achieve. I can assure you now, we have confirmation of a solid presence from the Caribbean business groups. There are a couple of business groups, professional groups that are going to be there at NDIS. And we're trying to encourage some of the financial institutions in Nigeria, the banks and all of that. If you look at what the Afrexim Bank has been doing, it's in the same direction. And so that relationship, once we get it right, you will see that Nigeria, because of its dominant position already and its natural endowment, will lead in that sort of new relationship.
Interesting. Now, the over 220 million population of Nigerians, the youth covers about 70% of the population of Nigeria. What is the opening, for the investment in terms of investing in the strength of Nigerian youth for this purpose?
Our program, we've recognized the importance of, and in fact, the power and the advantage that Africa has in this youthful population compared to other continents, and serious policymakers recognize the same. And so we view that as a latent strength to build on. A lot of the young people, a lot of the pitchers that we're putting forward, we don't choose them deliberately because they're young people, because we don't discriminate. Anybody who wants to start up a business is welcome. What we help you do is to coach you, support you, train you on how to make a business pitch. That is the primary thing that the summit is all about, how to make a business pitch to investors. And so in that training period, which we run for about 3 months, 2 months leading up to the summit itself, is going on now, leading up to the summit, it's mostly young people. And what you hear from them is a recognition that they must do something for themselves. They're not looking for jobs anymore. They're not waiting around to create employment. So the enablement is there. The social media in particular has sort of opened up a new vista for them, and they can see what's possible, and they can feel it, and they want to go for it. And so we encourage them, we coach them, because part of what you find is that obviously a lot of the young people have no experience. They've not, that's because they're young people, they haven't had experience. And so they might be burning and brimming with ideas, but you've got to teach them the ethics of business. You've got to teach them how to run a business. And some of those are more practical.
Mr. Okezie, I want you to catch your breath here so that we'll take a breather. When we return, we'll still build on what this summit means to the 70% of Nigeria youthful population, out of the 220 million population of Nigeria growth. Just take a breath, and we'll be back in a moment.
When the city is getting too loud, you need a home. Home is love, peace, and tranquility. Home is Housing TV Africa. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
All right, Mr. Bolaji Luis, the team lead security and logistics, Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit Planning Committee. Thank you for having you on the program.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to ask you, even though I've had a conversation with Mr. Okezie earlier, but I need you to clear this air so that you could change the narrative. There is this fear of the uncertainty owing to the fact that, security incursion and, unrest in some part of Nigeria. And you don't expect someone to come invest in a hostile environment. What are you doing to change the narrative as to opening up for those who are going to be coming from the diaspora, not just Nigerians who are resident in diaspora, but of course other citizens of African countries and other countries will be coming for this investment?
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for having me, and the viewers as well. I say a good day. What is actually happening within the area of security? The government is doing quite a lot, and we are also at the same time trying to allay the fears of the intended investors, and also because as you've just alluded to, the investors would want to invest in an environment that is secure, because from time to time, they would want to maybe even visit the environment where their investments are.
Absolutely.
In view of that, what we do is encourage the government and the communities all around Nigeria to work together to ensure that security is for all of us, not just the government. Because what we find is community policing works even better than just the government infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Like what I asked Mr. Okezie earlier, over 220 populations of Nigeria predominantly are the youth. The youth make up 70% of this population. And if you look at any, group that is a non-state actors, they are predominantly within the age bracket of, youthful ages, right? And let me put it that way. So what are the plans, in terms of investment in the strength of the youth, so that you take them out from the street and take them out from any gang ring, as well as any non-state actors activities, to real business, and for them so that they can secure their future?
Thank you for that. In fact, NDIS, over the last 2 sessions, I've started to focus more on the youthful population in Nigeria, because that is where the energy in the powerhouse of Nigeria is at the moment, if we want to really look at it critically. And what we have done is start to encourage many of them with ideas, and in fact, innovative ideas, and driven by technology. Also, we've been looking at, because we take them through business academies, that is pitching academies, to ensure that whatever they have as a pipe dream, a thought that is innovative, we now mold those thoughts into proper businesses that can yield employment within their community and even broader environment. So in fact, as the youthful population are the ones thinking about the business, it does help to then push the narrative within their communities to ensure that when they see a face that looks like theirs, then more people are able to buy in within their community.
Interesting. What you may want to tell me, what other areas, should be open for investment? For instance, in infrastructure, there is infrastructure deficit when it comes to housing deficit, and also the infrastructure, whether in education, in health. Take it one at a time. Those areas that will need this investment.
Okay, we look at the key areas of agricultural processing.
That's correct.
Because people will have to eat. And in view of that, we have a lot of arable land in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And that yields a lot in terms of feeding the population and also getting exports, which attracts the foreign exchange. Then in housing sector, as we grow the population, we start to look at affordable housing. And this is where the youthful mind comes in, because they start to think of innovative ways of building new houses and new settlements. They can also build communities out of that, which will be sustainable, because they start to look at other materials that can be used to build such sustainable housing developments. And there are various.
And also affordable, because looking at the affordability of these houses, looking at the affordability of these houses is very critical also to note, because in Nigeria, we shouldn't completely, overrule the fact that there are those who are of the low income status and those who are, of course, high income status. As it is in Nigeria now, I don't think we have the middle class any longer. It's just like only the lower class and the upper class. So in terms of housing, the rent is high now, exorbitantly high, and the houses, to some, it's not affordable. How do you bridge the gap? How can this summit open up for people to be able to bridge the gap for those who are in the lower class, regardless of their status,
Okay.
to have
What
this house of
we're
their
doing
own?
in terms of the summit in this area is to look at because when we think about housing developments, we need to start thinking of new town developments, and that's how we
New
can
town
get
development. Yeah,
yes, and that's how we can get the youth to get involved more. Because what happens with them is that when you have new areas, you start to employ them in direct employment into developing those new town developments. What that does, it creates jobs, and when they have jobs, it creates money, and when they have money, they can use that to grow the economy in terms of rents, in terms of even building their own um, dwellings, which can then generate even more funds within the economy.
interesting. Now, another sensitive sector in the country, that has been used as a cash cow is the oil sector. And of course, you realize in recent times the little bit of a feud between Dangote Refinery and the NNPC having this conflict, competitively. But I also understand that the summit will be addressing certain issues in this regard. How do you intend to open up, opportunities for oil moguls to even invest in it, so that you can augment what Aliko Dangote is doing, as well as the inconsistency of the Nigerian government when it comes to the NNPCL being used as a cash cow?
I think what we need to start to think about, we need to start thinking out of the box in Nigeria. And that's what is happening. And that is why even the youth population is important, because it's not only oil that is in the energy sector, but we focus mostly on
That's it.
oil and
Mhm.
gas. Yes, we have very vast gas resources and
That's
gas
correct.
deposits in Nigeria, but also what do we have that people are not thinking about? Natural light,
Natural
the
light,
sunlight.
solar,
The,
and the northern part of Nigeria, it enjoys high level of the sun rays much more than other part of the country, and nothing is being done as regard to that.
those are things that this summit starts to bring to fore, whereby we start to educate the populations around the northern Nigeria, in particular, where there's a lot of land and a lot of sunshine hours, and we are going to start to implore the states, each state in the northern region, to start generating at least maybe 200 to 250 kVA with solar. By the time you aggregate that across all the northern Nigeria, you guess what the value will be in as a startup, and then we grow on that.
Interesting. But can all this be possible without the support or collaboration of the federal government? How is the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit collaborating with the
Okay.
states in this regard?
As you know, as you might be aware, we are in collaboration with, because the NDIS, the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit, is actually put together by NIDCOM, that is Nigerian Diaspora and Communist Commission,
Yeah,
and in collaboration with the Nigerian Diaspora Summit Initiative, which is the private business arm that's that brings together the private environment, and the government support comes via the NITCOM collaboration. What that does, it brings everybody to the table so that those who are making policies are able to talk to those who are trying to put in the money, and also the people who have the ideas are able to listen and know exactly what the government is trying to do. We've got interest from Saudi Arabia, especially there's some Nigerians in Saudi Arabia who are speaking to investors in Saudi Arabia in terms of Nigeria, Saudi Arabia business community. Also, we have the same with Qatar, the Nigerian Qatar Business Society. They are also involved. We are in talks with them to ensure that the message is put out there. Also, across Africa, we're not leaving Africa out of it, because our brothers on the African continent, apart from the fact that there's focus on Europe and Americas, we look at even the Caribbeans, because one of our pitches, to be precise, is actually looking towards the new frontier of Caribbean markets. And those are businesses that are coming to fore at the NDIS.
Interesting. Now, I would love to ask you this question, because being the team lead, security and logistics, I'm very concerned about security, even though you touched on it a little bit earlier. But while you were talking, I had to ponder on it again. You made mention emphatically about agriculture. And if you understand, the northern part of Nigeria, particularly the northwestern part of Nigeria, have been under siege by the activities, or as a result of the activities of bandits. And as such, people in Katsina State, Zamfara State, part of Sokoto State, do no longer go to farms because of the fear of being attacked or abducted. So what is the opening in terms of investing in security for the benefit of those who may want to return to their farms?
In that view, I think, again, we must understand that the government is doing a lot in those areas. And while they cannot be neglected, the land area in Nigeria is quite broad, that we can encourage more farmers to go into diverse areas of the country. But while the areas that are having the challenges are also cleared of those challenges.
Well, there's no better time to end this conversation than now. Mr. Bolaji Louis, Team Lead, Security and Logistics, Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit Planning Committee. Thank you so very much for your time and company on the show. I'm looking forward to having more of you again for much engagement such as this. Mr. Kachi Okezie, thank you so very much also for being a part of the conversation today. Looking forward to having more of you again for more engagement such as this. All right, everyone, that's our show for now. Thank you so very much for being part of the show. My name is Chris Jacobs. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Keep a date with Housing Development Program every week on AIT. Housing Development is the first and pioneer housing program in Nigeria and by extension, Africa. It remains the authentic voice of the Nigerian housing and construction industry. Housing Development is the only credible and specialized platform for seasoned professionals in the build industry, where quality and credible players in the real estate sector meet to interact, showcase, and analyze government policies. It is no doubt that hundreds of thousands of prospective Nigerians who desire to own their personal properties have done so through the assistance of Housing Development Program in the last 10 years. If you are a stakeholder in the build industry, here is where you must be. We are authentic, credible, and supported by all the leading professionals in the build industry. Housing Development on AIT.